There's fireballs coming right at me.
Atari introduces the Woman of the Year, Ms. PacMan.
Before today's video games, we all had fun playing arcade games in the 1980s. These games were a big hit and paved the way for the gaming industry we have now. But by the late 1990s, video game consoles took over because of new technology, and arcade games lost some of their charm. Still, the nostalgia attached to those arcade games is strong, especially if they were a big part of your childhood. Join us as we explore the 13 popular arcade games from the 1980s that we want back. PacMan is a classic video game created by Namco in 1980. It's a maze action game where players control PacMan, a character navigating through an enclosed maze. The goal is to eat all the dots while avoiding 4 colored ghosts: Blinky, Pinky, Inky, and Clyde. Special items called power pellets can be consumed by PacMan, temporarily turning the ghosts blue and vulnerable. During this time, PacMan can eat the ghosts for extra points. The game features various levels marked by fruit icons, and in between there are short, entertaining scenes with PacMan and Blinky. If PacMan gets caught by a ghost, he loses a life, and the game ends when all lives are gone. Each ghost has its own unique artificial intelligence, with Blinky chasing directly, Pinky and Inky strategically positioning themselves, and Clyde alternating between chasing and fleeing. Energizers, or power pellets, are strategically placed in the maze corners, and when PacMan eats one, ghosts turn blue and disoriented. PacMan can then earn bonus points by eating them. Additionally, eating a certain number of dots reveals bonus items, usually fruits, for extra points. PacMan has been a massive success, leading to sequels, merchandise, and even a hit single, PacMan Fever. It remains one of the highest-grossing games, with a significant cultural impact and recognition as one of the greatest video games of all time. The character PacMan is now the official mascot of Bandai Namco Entertainment. As PacMan munches through the maze of challenges, we wonder, what other iconic characters awaited players in the realm of early gaming? Let's discover Mario's daring exploits in Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong is a video game made by Nintendo in 1981. In the game, you control a character named Mario. Mario has to run and jump on platforms, climb ladders, and rescue a girl named Pauline from a big gorilla called Donkey Kong. This game is the first one in the series featuring Donkey Kong, and also marks the first appearance of Mario in a video game. Back then, they didn't have a special name for games like this, where you jump on platforms and climb ladders. They called it a climbing game. Donkey Kong was one of the earliest examples of this type of game, even before they started calling it a platformer. Donkey Kong was a bit special because it was the first game where the character could jump. The player had to make Mario jump over gaps, obstacles, and enemies. The game had 4 different stages, making it more complex than other games at the time. While saving Pauline was the main goal, players could also score points by doing different things like jumping over obstacles, using a hammer power-up to destroy objects, and collecting items. The game got harder as you progressed, with Donkey Kong throwing barrels faster and introducing new challenges at each level. The success of Donkey Kong made Nintendo a big player in the gaming market. Mario, the character from the game, became Nintendo's mascot and one of the most famous characters globally. Donkey Kong is considered one of the most important and popular arcade games of all time, shaping the early days of video gaming.
Our cover's been blown away.
Space Invaders, a game from 1978, is a classic arcade video game made by Taito in Japan and distributed globally by Midway Manufacturing. This game holds great significance and is often regarded as one of the most influential. Why? It's the pioneer of its kind, known as a fixed shooter, and essentially established the guidelines for how these games should be played. In Space Invaders, you control a laser cannon at the bottom of the screen, moving it left or right to shoot at aliens coming down at you. The aliens start in rows at the top, and they move sideways together. Your mission is to shoot them all before they reach the bottom. Be careful, though, because if they touch the bottom, it's game over. You get points for each alien you shoot, and as you keep playing, the aliens speed up. There's also a special mystery ship that appears sometimes, and if you shoot it, you get bonus points. Space Invaders is a big deal in the world of video games. It kicked off the golden age of arcade games, inspiring many other games and game makers. It even made the Atari VCS console super popular in 1980. The pixelated aliens from the game are like celebrities in pop culture, symbolizing video games for a lot of people. As the pixelated aliens of Space Invaders become pop culture celebrities, what came next in the arcade world? Did Galaga continue the legacy or bring something entirely new? Let's find out. Galaga, released in 1981, is an arcade classic developed by Namco and published by Midway Manufacturing in North America. Serving as the sequel to Namco's earlier hit, Galaxian, the game involves players piloting a lone starship at the bottom of the screen. Their mission is to thwart the Galaga forces aiming to destroy humanity. Each stage requires players to defeat the Galaga aliens flying in from the top and sides of the screen, all while dodging enemy attacks. The game introduces challenges such as the boss Galaga, 4 large aliens that can capture the player's ship using a tractor beam. If captured, players have a chance to rescue their ship by shooting down the boss Galaga holding it, transforming their starship into a powerful dual fighter with enhanced firepower. However, mistiming the rescue attempt can turn the captured ship against the player in later levels. Galaga features diverse enemy types, including those that can morph into new forms with different attack patterns. As players progress, the game intensifies with more aggressive enemies, increased projectiles, and faster diving rates. Bonus stages occur every 4th level, where aliens fly in a set formation without attacking. Despite initial challenges during location tests, Galaga gained widespread acclaim, becoming one of the most successful arcade games of its time. Praised for its gameplay, innovation, and addictive nature, it is considered a classic from the golden age of arcade video games. Numerous home ports followed its success, and it remains part of various Namco compilations, leaving an enduring legacy in the gaming world. Frogger is a classic arcade game from 1981 created by Konami and produced by Sega. In this game, players control 5 frogs with the goal of guiding them to their homes. The journey involves avoiding fast-moving traffic on a busy road and navigating a river by hopping on floating logs and alligators. At the beginning of the game, players start with 3, 5, or 7 frogs, depending on the machine's settings. Losing all frogs results in a game over. The player can use a joystick to make the frog hop in 4 directions. Frogger can be played solo or with 2 players taking turns. The game starts with the frog at the bottom of the screen, facing a busy road with speeding vehicles like racing cars, trucks, and bulldozers. The player must guide the frog between lanes to avoid getting hit and losing a life. After crossing the road, there's a river with logs, alligators, and turtles moving horizontally. Jumping on these objects helps the frog reach safety. The player must watch out for snakes, otters, and the open mouths of alligators. Bonus points can be earned by carrying a brightly colored female frog on a log. Successfully getting all 5 frogs to their homes advances the player to the next, more challenging level. The game has a timer of 30 seconds for each frog to reach home, resetting it to 60 ticks when a life is lost, or a frog safely reaches home. Frogger received positive reviews and is considered one of the greatest video games ever made, spawning numerous clones and sequels in the Frogger series. Centipede, a popular arcade game from 1981, was created by Atari. It's a fixed shooter game designed by Donna Bailey and Ed Logg, and was a big hit during the golden age of arcade video games. What made it stand out was its appeal to female players, making it one of the first games with a significant female player base. In the game, players control a bug blaster, a small insect-like creature using a trackball to move around the bottom of the screen. The main goal is to shoot all the segments of a centipede that descends from the top of the screen through a field of mushrooms. Shooting a segment turns it into a mushroom, and shooting the middle causes the centipede to split. The player earns 100 points for shooting the head and 10 points for other segments. As the Centipede moves down, the player faces challenges from other creatures like fleas, spiders, and scorpions. Fleas drop vertically, leaving mushrooms in their path and are worth 200 points. Spiders move in a zigzag pattern, eating mushrooms and earning the player points based on the shooting range. Scorpions turn mushrooms into poison mushrooms and are the highest-scoring enemies, worth 1,000 points each. The game continues until the player eliminates the original Centipede and all its heads. New Centipedes appear with each level, gradually becoming shorter. Any enemy can destroy the Bug Blaster, and an extra life is awarded every 12,000 points. It's a challenging and engaging game that captured the attention of gamers during its time. As the thrilling journey through Centipede ends, what other arcade wonders wait for us? How about navigating through space debris and asteroids? Join us in our exploration. Asteroids is a video game that came out in November 1979. In the game, you control a spaceship in space filled with asteroids and flying saucers. Your goal is to shoot and destroy the asteroids and saucers without crashing into them or getting hit by the saucers' shots. As you play, the number of asteroids increases, making the game more challenging. Your spaceship can rotate left and right, shoot straight ahead, and thrust forward. Once you start moving in a direction, you keep going that way until you thrust in a different direction or come to a stop. You can also make your ship disappear and reappear in a random spot on the screen. But it's risky because you might self-destruct or appear on top of an asteroid. The game has levels with large asteroids drifting around. When you shoot them, they break into smaller, faster ones worth more points. Flying saucers also show up. One shoots randomly and the other shoots at your ship. As you score more points, the game gets harder and you can earn extra lives. Asteroids was a big success in the arcade game era back then, selling many cabinets. It influenced other games like Defender and Gravatar, and was even adapted for home gaming systems by Atari. The game's maximum high score is 99,990 points. Miss Pac-Man is a maze arcade video game from 1982. It was made by General Computer Corporation and published by Midway. It's a sequel to the original Pac-Man, but Namco didn't make it. In this game, players control Pac-Man's wife and need to eat all the pellets in a maze while avoiding 4 colored ghosts. Eating big power pellets turns the ghosts blue and lets the player eat them for extra points. The gameplay is similar to Pac-Man, where you earn points by eating pellets and avoiding ghosts. Energizers make ghosts vulnerable, and bonus fruits give extra points. As you progress, the game gets faster, and energizers have a shorter effect on the ghosts. Miss Pac-Man has 4 mazes with different colors that change every few levels. The maze designs differ, with solid colored walls making paths clearer. Ghosts behave differently, and fruit bounces around instead of appearing in the center. Miss Pac-Man also has unique death animations, and intermissions tell a story about her relationship with Pac-Man. Critics praised Miss Pac-Man for its improvements and having a female protagonist. It's considered one of the greatest video games and a successful American arcade game. The game's success led to merchandise, ports, cartoons, and sequels. Namco's successor, Bandai Namco Entertainment, owns the rights, but there were legal issues between Namco and General Computer Corporation. In 1982, Miss Pac-Man triumphed over mazes and ghosts, while in 1980, Defender defended against alien invasions. What cosmic challenges lie ahead in Defender's battle against extraterrestrial forces? Let's discover. Defender, created by Williams Electronics in 1980, is a classic video game that became a huge success during the golden age of arcade games. Released for arcades in 1981, the game is a horizontally scrolling shooter set on an unnamed planet or city. Players control a spaceship moving left or right, using a joystick for elevation and buttons for direction and weapons. The goal is to defend the planet from waves of invading aliens while safeguarding astronauts on the surface. Developed by Eugene Jarvis, Defender drew inspiration from Space Invaders and Asteroids. Players start with 3 smart bombs that can destroy all visible enemies. The game introduces a unique feature called hyperspace, allowing the player's ship to reappear in a random location as a last resort. If astronauts are not protected, the planet explodes, leading to mutant infestation. Successful alien defeat allows progression to the next level. Defender's significance lies in its contribution to the video game industry, selling over 55,000 units and becoming one of the highest-grossing arcade games. Critics praised its audio visuals and gameplay, considering it one of Jarvis's best contributions. The game's challenging nature has solidified its place as a classic in video game history.
I'm Cubert, and I've got all the right moves. I've got the legs, too.
Cubert is a video game that came out in 1982. Gottlieb created it for arcades in North America. The game is about a character named Cubert, who hops on cubes to change their color in a pyramid. The goal is to turn all the cubes into a specific color while avoiding obstacles and enemies. Players use a joystick to control Cubert as he moves diagonally on the cubes. The game looks 3D even though it's actually 2D thanks to isometric graphics. As you play, you encounter different challenges. There's Coily, a snake that chases Cubert, ugh, and wrong way, creatures hopping on the cube sides, and Slick and Sam, who mess with cube colors. Colored balls and floating discs are also added to the mix. Points are earned for changing cube colors, defeating enemies, and using the discs. Completing levels gives bonus points. Cubert became popular in arcades, praised by critics, and even led to sequels. The character's success extended to merchandise like lunchboxes and toys, and he became known for his unique swearing sound in the game. The game's popularity is evident in its ports to various platforms, making Cubert a memorable icon from the golden age of arcade games.
We're going underground to do the Digdug dance.
Digdug is a video game that came out in 1982. In the game, you control a character named Digdug, who has to defeat enemies in different mazes. The enemies are called Pukas and Figars. Pukas are red creatures with big goggles, and Figars are green dragons that can breathe fire. To defeat the enemies, Digdug can use an air pump. He can either inflate the enemies until they burst or crush them with big rocks. You get bonus points for squashing multiple enemies with 1 rock. If you drop 2 rocks in a stage, you get a bonus item that gives you extra points when eaten. As you progress in the game, the enemies become faster and more aggressive. They chase Digdug through the dirt, appearing like ghostly eyes. Digdug can stun or destroy them in the air with his pump. The game has a total of 256 stages, each with different challenges. Digdug received positive reviews for its fun gameplay, cute characters, and strategic elements. It was a big success during the arcade game era, being the second highest-grossing arcade game in Japan in 1982. It led to many sequels and spin-offs, including the Mr. Driller series. Digdug is featured in various Namco video game compilations for different gaming systems. As Digdug conquers mazes and enemies with an air pump, the question lingers: what awaits Tempest's 3-dimensional survival challenge? Join us as we explore the Tempest. Tempest, a game created by Atari in 1981, is all about survival and scoring points. The player controls a claw-shaped blaster on a 3-dimensional surface, moving it left and right with a knob. The goal is to clear the screen of enemies by shooting them down before they get you. The blaster can fire rapidly down the lanes, and it also has a special super zapper that can destroy all enemies on the field once per level. There are 16 levels with different shapes, including geometric ones, a flat line, and the infinity symbol. Some levels form closed tubes where the player can loop continuously, while others have distinct endpoints. After completing all levels, the game repeats with a new color scheme and higher difficulty. Enemies, represented as swirling dots, gradually appear on the screen. There are 7 types, each with its own behavior. The player must dodge or destroy them to advance. Losing a life occurs when the blaster is captured or destroyed, and the game ends when all lives are gone. Bonus blasters are awarded at specific score milestones. Tempest was groundbreaking, using Atari's color quadra-scan vector display technology and introducing the skill step feature, letting players choose their starting level based on previous performance. It was also among the first games with varied progressive level designs, providing a fresh challenge in each game.
Hardly. Joust. You don't play it. You live it.
Joust is an action-packed video game developed by Williams Electronics and launched in arcades back in 1982. Though not the pioneer of two-player cooperative gaming, Joust's triumph and skillful execution made the idea widely popular. In the game, players take on the roles of knights mounted on large birds, an ostrich for player 1 and a stork for player 2, armed with lances. The objective is to navigate the screen, defeating enemy knights riding buzzards. Up to 2 players can engage in the game simultaneously, using a 2-position joystick and a button for controls. The screen features multiple platforms with edges that wrap around to connect. Pressing the button makes the mount's wings flap, allowing the knight to ascend, descend, or hover. The joystick helps with mid-air steering or moving on platforms. There are 3 types of enemy knights, each armed with lances. Collisions lead to the unseating of the knight with the higher lance. Each defeated enemy transforms into an egg for bonus points, hatching into a higher difficulty level knight if not picked up promptly. The game progresses with added challenges like bonus opportunities, lava hazards, a lurking lava troll, disappearing platforms, and the appearance of a pterodactyl. In 2-player mode, players can either collaborate or engage in combat. Joust received acclaim, influencing subsequent games and getting ported to various home systems, followed by a 1986 sequel, Joust 2: Survival of the Fittest.